step 1, what we're going to do is we're going to find the common difference. Okay, so in other words, write that out in words so that you all have it. Find the common difference. All right, so you're going to take and figure out, well, what's the difference in these two numbers? You know, what do I have to add to each number to get the next one? All right, so in this case, 17 minus 8, I just took the first two. 17 minus 8, that's going to give me a 9. So my common difference is 9. We're going to later use that into a formula that's going to help us solve this out. All right, now let's go ahead and write the formula. Okay, so we have a formula that is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, so there's our formula. I think I'll put a box around that, because that's the formula that you're going to need for this. Okay, now let's go through and see if we can't identify some of these parts. Okay, this is the overall formula. This a sub n is going to be the nth term in our sequence. Okay, so however many, n is the number of terms we have, so nth term, last term there. Okay, the a sub 1 is going to be our first term. N is the number of terms, and that d is the common difference, and we just found that common difference to start with already. Okay, so that's what the formula stands for. So first term, we know the first term in the sequence is 8. Nth term we know is 890. Number of terms, we don't know how many terms there are, but we do know the common difference. Okay, so what we're going to have to do in step 2 is we're going to have to solve for n, because n's the only thing in that formula that we don't know. All right, so step 2, let's just call it solve for n. All right, I'm going to use this formula and I'm going to plug in everything I know. All right, my nth term is 890, so I'm going to do 890 is equal to a sub 1 is my first term. My first term is 8 plus parentheses. N is what I don't know, minus 1. My d, common difference, I found in step 1, which is 9. All right, so using that, that's a pretty simple equation. Got some distributive property in there. You can solve that for n. So I'm going to have 890 equals 8 plus a 9n minus a 9. We'll have 890 is equal to, let's see, 8 minus 9 is going to be a minus 1, so we'll have a 9n minus a 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. 891 is equal to 9n. And then this is where we're going to divide by 9. And I'm going to use a calculator there. N is going to be 99. All right, so that means that this sequence of numbers has 99 terms. Okay, so that's why I'm saying we don't want to have to try to add 99 numbers up to get the sum. We want to be able to do it in a much easier way. Okay, now step 3 is going to be to use the summation. There's another formula, a summation formula. Okay, so our step 3, use summation formula. So I got to give you another formula. All right, so we'll write it in. We're going to use an S for sum, so S sub n. Okay, so the sum of 99 terms, the sum of 88 terms, whatever n is. All right, our sum is going to be equal to n divided by 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. Okay, so there's your summation formula. All right, we've solved for n. So we know n. A sub 1, first term, we know the first term. A sub n, the last term. All right, so it's a matter of just plugging in and then see what happens. Okay, so if we plug everything in, I want my sum, right? So S of sum of 99 terms, because this is 99 terms. All right, so n is 99. 99 divided by 2. My first term was 8. My last term is 890. Okay, so then grabbing a calculator and doing all this, it'll be, let's go ahead and take the 99 divided by 2. That's going to be 49.5. And then adding that in the middle, 898. So then we'll just take that, multiply by 898. And that's going to give us a sum of 44,451. So that is the sum. Two sequences are going to give you two terms in this sequence. Okay? And then they want you to write the formula for a sub n. All right? But they're giving you the base formula there. All right, a sub n, all right, would be a sub however many terms there happens to be. A sub 1 is the first term. You don't know the first term yet. You've got to find it. All right. R, instead of a common difference, you're going to have a common ratio. Okay, so you're going to have to find that ratio. All right, and then n, number of terms altogether, minus 1, whatever that happens to be. All right, so again, we're going to have several different steps. This is going to have 5 steps, so I may not be able to get them all on the same piece of paper. All right, so step 1. We're going to use the formula for the given terms. All right, so I've got a 4th term and I've got a 5th term. All right, so notice in the formula right here, this part of the formula, because I want you to conceptually understand this. If this says a sub 1 or a sub n, and then up here I have an n minus 1, if I put a sub 4 right here, that means n is 4. So then up here, what exponent would I have? 3, n minus 1. Okay, so that's how this is the connection here. So I'm going to take these two terms, I'm going to take this term and I'm going to write this out. So I'm going to write a sub 4, because that's the term I'm giving. Okay, so that's going to translate into a sub 1. I don't know the first one. All right, I don't know r, but this exponent up here, I said here n is 4. If n is 4, 4 minus 1 puts a 3 right there. And this has to be equal to 432. 432. All right, so notice this is an arrow, not an equal sign. So I'm using these formulas. I'm going to highlight this. I'm using these formulas with the two given terms. I've used that formula with the first term, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing for the next one. So my next one is a sub 5. So I'm going to go a sub 5. All right, now again, I'm just going to follow this formula. A sub 1, I don't know. I don't know r, but if I know n is 5, then my exponent on this one has to be 5 minus 1, or 4. And I was given that the 5th term is equal to 2592, so this has to be equal to 2592. Okay, so I have written those two terms and put them basically into those formulas. Okay. All right, so far so good? Okay, now step 2. I'm going to solve my first equation. So solve first equation. All right, this is my first equation. So I'm going to take a sub 1 times r raised to the 3rd power equals 432. All right, now I'm going to solve it for a sub 1. I want to find that first term. So if I want to find, I should have maybe even said solve first term for a sub 1. Okay, so this times this equals this, so all I got to do is divide both sides by r to the 3rd power. So a sub 1 is equal to 432 divided by r to the 3rd. And right now, that's the best I can do because I don't know what r is. I don't know what my first term is. So I'm just going to take that first equation and solve for a sub 1. So in other words, divide by a to the 3rd power. All right. Now, step 3, I'm going to try and hope and get on this piece of paper. Step 3, I'm going to plug it into the second equation. Plug into second equation. All right, so I'm going to take this and plug it into this second equation. All right, so I'm going to write the second equation first. All right, so I'm going to have an a sub 1 times r to the fourth power equals 2,592. All right, I'm going to replace a sub 1 with what I know it equals. So let's use a different color. I'm going to plug that in right there. So then I'm going to have 432 over r to the third times an r to the fourth equals 2592. Okay, so far so good. All right, now this r to the fourth is on top, this r to the third is on the bottom. That's the laws of exponents, right? R to the fourth on top, r to the third on the bottom. So 3 of the r's cross out on the bottom, so they go away completely, and then I only have 1 r left up here, so basically the 4 gets crossed out. All right, 3 r's on the bottom, 4 r's on the top would leave me 1 r on the top. So then that's going to make this go down to a 432 r equals 2592. All right, divide both sides by 432, so this is where I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to go 2592 divided by 432, and then I'm going to get 6. R equals 6. All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to need, because in this formula up here that I'm supposed to be writing a formula for, now I have R. All right, so I'm going to highlight that in pink, I guess, because this now is something I'm going to be able to use in my final answer. All right, now we got 2 more steps. All right, I still don't have everything, right? I mean, if you stop and think about what you have. So if I'm trying to write this, all right, I am never going to know n, all right, but I have found my r. Now I have to find a sub 1. I'll have a number to put in here, I'll have a number to put in here, and then it'll be raised to the n minus 1, because I'm not going to know how many terms I have. Okay, so step 4. I'm going to plug the r number that I just found in to find my a sub 1. Plug it in to find a sub 1. Oops, and I wrote a sub n. I really meant a sub 1. All right, so I'm going to go back. Let's pull this back up here. All right, I have something right here. I can find a sub 1 if I know what r is. Well, I just found r, so I'm going to use that right there. So I'm going to use a sub 1 is equal to that 432 over r to the third. I know r is 6, so I'm going to plug 6 back in. So I'm going to have a sub 1 is equal to that 432, 6 to the third power. Okay, 6 raised to the third power is going to be 216. So my a sub 1 is going to be whatever I get when I take 432 divided by 216. Again, I'm going to grab my calculator. I don't have that done. So a sub 1 has to equal 2. All right, so now I know a sub 1. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that in pink as well, because now I know a sub 1 and I know r. So now, last step is just write that formula out, because I found all the values I need. So step 5. Let's see, step 5, write the formula and then plug in what you know. Write formula. All right, so in the directions, I'm just going to recopy it since it was on my other piece of paper. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to the n minus 1. All right, so the formula that they are wanting you to write is a sub n is equal to, I'm going to replace a sub 1 with the number I found, which is 2. I found r, we said, which was 6. And then I'm going to write n minus 1 and just keep it n minus 1. And then there I have the formula.